Hello everyone. This video will show how to add and subtract fractions using the giant 1 method. Now let's go over some examples. This video will show how to add fractions using the giant 1 method. Now let's go over this example that we have down here. If you notice, the denominators of the two fractions are not the same, so we cannot add them together. We have to make sure that their denominators are the same. So I'm just going to go ahead and rewrite these two fractions down here. To add these fractions using a giant 1 method, we are going to multiply 1 to 2/3. And that 1 will be in a form 5 over 5. So whatever this value here, I'm going to multiply that to the first in a form of 5 over 5, which is actually, we have, because if we do 5 divided by 5 is actually 1. So that's why this method is called a giant 1. So 5 over 5 is just the 1. So we're multiplying 1 to 2/3. And we do the same thing for the other one here. We're going to multiply this by 1 in a form of 3 over 3. So that is 3 divided by 3 is actually 1. So then we can go ahead and multiply this across. That would be 2 times 5 is 10 over 3 times 5 is 15 plus 4 times 3 is 12 over 5 times 3 is 15. So then they already have the same denominator. So the answer for this would be 22 over 15. So this is the sum of these two fractions using the giant 1 method. Now let's have another example. Looking at this example, the denominators are not the same. We get a 4 and a 5. So we have to make sure that their denominators are the same before we can add these two fractions together. So we're going to use giant 1 to add these two. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this down here. So what I would do is I will multiply the first one with a 1 in a form of 5 over 5. So that's 5 over 5. And I will multiply the second with a 1 in a form of 4 over 4. So then we can go ahead and simplify this further. We have 7 times 5 is 35 over 4 times 5 is 20 plus 3 times 4 is 12 over 5 times 4 is 20. So we now have the same denominator. So this is 47 over 20. So this is the sum of these two fractions when added together. This video will show how to subtract fractions using the giant 1 method. Now let's go over this example. If you notice in this example, we don't have the same denominator, which means that we cannot subtract these two fractions together. So the rule in subtracting fraction is that they need to have the same denominator. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite these fractions down here. To subtract this fraction using the giant 1 method, we are going to multiply the first fraction with a 1. And this 1 here is in a form of 7 over 7. So whatever this number is, we're going to write that as 7 over 7. So if you divide 7 divided by 7, that is actually 1. So that's why we call this as the giant 1. On the other hand, the second fraction will be multiplied by 1 again in a form of 3 over 3. So please remember, if you divide 3 divided by 3 is 1. So again, this is the reason why this is called the giant 1 method. So that from here, we multiply them together. So that is 5 times 7 is 35 over 3 times 7 is 21 minus 2 times 3 is 6 over 3 times 7 is 21. So all we need to do is we already have the same denominator, so we just have to subtract them. 35 minus 6 is 29, and that is over 21. So this is the difference between these two fractions. Now let's have another example. Looking at this example, we can see that their denominators are not the same, so we cannot subtract them together. We have to make sure that their denominators have to be the same. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite that down here. So what we do is we will multiply the first fraction with a 1, which is in the form of 3 over 3. I got this 3 from this number right here. And then I will multiply the second fraction with a 1 in a form of 4 over 4. And then we go ahead and simplify this. So we go ahead and say 3 times 3 is 9 over 4 times 3 is 12 minus 2 times 4 is 8 over 3 times 4 is 12. So then 9 minus 8 is 1 over 12. So this is the difference between these two fractions.